and Frank let out a big sigh.
You sign.
Yeah.
It's crap.
So you think it's all...
Crap.
He
It's local
does
news.
want to fight?
I'll tell you why. Let's deal with facts. Did we make you an offer? Did we make you an offer?
Hey, listen, please.
No, I understand. I didn't bring it up.
Now fight is for me.
Chad,
and
I didn't bring it up.
Please.
I did not bring it up.
No, please, only
But I
for
didn't
me.
bring it up.
His
I've got to
name.
respond to your...
I'm very hard.
I'm going to say it very quickly. I'm going to ask two questions. Right, the first one. Now, I've got to ask it. Go on. So the first thing is, did we make you an offer? You did. Thank you. Have you ever made us an offer? Or have they made us an offer for the fight?
Frank, it's complicated to answer you this question because
not complicated.
I've conducted the negotiations with George. I wish George was on your place then.
Let me ask you, just answer it. Have you ever made us an offer for Tyson? The truth. While we're here, have you ever made us an offer? And if you have, and let me tell you, if you've ever made us, if there's ever been a written offer, or if there's ever been an offer made by Skills, and you can produce it, I'll pay £1 million to charity.
Are you?
Oh, we've never had an offer, ever.
Are you talking about April 29th in the past, or you're talking about the future?
I'm talking about the future. There was no offer made for December. When was the offer for December made?
Okay, but it's not happening in December already.
So Tyson was to sit on his backside until next year. Please. We've never had an offer. Yeah, we've got to move on because I've just answered the
This is pretty interesting. If what Frank Warren is saying is true, this could bring a whole other side of it.
Well, let me stop right there. They were on Carl Frampton's podcast, and it was supposed to be, of course, Frank Warren, Danny Dubois, Alexander Krusik, Alexander Usyk. And Frank asked about the offer. And from what I was received, well, you could look at it two ways because Alexander Usyk did say, no, please, no talking about Tyson. This is about me, Daniel. You could look at that two ways. For everyone that sides with Fury, you could say, well, why didn't Alexander Usyk want to talk about that at that particular point of time? You know, he might have been hiding something or, you know, or whatever, right? You know, and it's like, okay, well, then you could look at it, well, maybe he's trying to respect Daniel Dubois because Daniel Dubois is the guy that's fighting. Daniel Dubois is the guy that's there with his promoter, and his promoter is talking about another fighter that's not there and it's going to fight somebody else, a UFC fighter. So, I mean, you know what I mean? So it's kind of that way. So I could see arguments on both sides. Like, well, wait a minute. Well, let's get it out in the open if that's the huge argument, because that is a very good argument. And I think that's like the biggest argument of the year. In fact, I think Usyk and Fury, the argument on whose fault or who's the reason for the fight not happening is probably second biggest to Wilder and Joshua back in 18 and 19. You know what I mean? Because we're still arguing with that shit for some people that still want to argue about it, okay? So I think if anything, this is a big argument, and this argument needs to be put to bed. Now, with Frank saying that, hey, did we make you an offer and this, that, and the other, and this, you know, in the future, it's like, well, you're not fighting in December. We know you're not fighting in December. Well, what you want us to do, sit around and wait? Well, the whole thing is, this clears it up, okay? Skills Challenge said that they were going to offer Tyson Fury an offer. We do know that Tyson Fury asked for too much money from the Saudis. That's why it didn't happen in Saudi Arabia. So they tried to move it to Wembley. In Wembley, that's when the whole issue of the split. John Fury came forth and said, Usyk's worth 30, Tyson's worth the rest, 70. Usyk agreed to the 30%. Then Tyson said there's no rematch clause, which made no sense because a rematch clause was already in the contract. It was already implemented and included in that contract for a rematch clause. So now Tyson's saying, how about no rematch clause? Well, it makes no sense if you already got it in your contract. So now you're just capping. Okay. So with the rematch clause came about a roadblock. Why? Because Tyson Fury was unwilling to take 30% of the fight purse if he lost. That's what it was about. See, Tyson ran from the issue that was supposed to seal the deal. When the 30% was agreed, that's how they would have done it. Usyk was ready to sign. But not only did Tyson Fury run to another excuse, Tyson Fury then in return said that he will not fight Alexander Usyk and give him 70 if he beat him. Okay, and that's just retarded. That's like saying, if you beat me, I won't give you the bigger part of the split. I will still get more money than you. Who cares? Why would you even care about that if you already got your ass whooped? Because see, and that just shows you how fucked up people's ego is. Because it's like, if you got your ass handed to you by Alexander Usyk, you won't even be in the right state of mind to even want 70-30. Okay, and that just shows you that he felt that if I lose, I'm still worth more than you. And that was total disrespect to Team Usyk. So therefore, Team Usyk was like, we have to do other negotiations with our mandatories. So let's do that. Fuck Tyson Fury in his 70-30. All of a sudden, I don't want a rematch. But then since I do have a rematch, it has to be 70-30 if I lose. So if it's a rematch anyway, it's going to be in my favor. That's what we're dealing with. Okay. Now what Frank Warren was talking about with the $1 million. Well, if you can produce you offering me anything, I will give you 1 million pounds. I mean, well, you have to be sure that no one offered you anything based on what Tyson Fury was set to do. It was Andy Ruiz, and Andy outpriced himself. The Alexander Usyk, they've moved on. So why would they make you offers if they've already moved on to fight someone else? Counterpunch. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds good for Frank. But if you went from Andy Ruiz to there's nobody else, now it's Francis Ngannou. Come to find out, Francis was in the mix the whole fucking time. Okay, so, let's stop with all that shit. It sounds good, Frank, but it's still the same rules apply. Your fighter lied about training. His trainer told us the truth about him lying about training. Okay? He was in negotiations with Francis Ngannou. Tyson Fury asked for too much money in Saudi Arabia. Like, who the fuck does that? How do you overbid or price yourself out with the country that has the most money? Who does that? Okay? That's crazy. All right? And they also knew that he was going to fight Daniel Dubois because Daniel Dubois is the same promoter, which is Frank Warren. So yes, Frank Warren would be confident to say, well, I'll give you 100 million pounds if you can produce a contract that you sent us. Why would he want to send you a contract where he's already signed to fight the WBA regular champion, Daniel Dubois, Frank? Counterpunch. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of the bold accusation from Frank Warren that he's willing to give Team Usyk £1 million if they can produce an offer that they made to them, to Tyson Fury. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!